program. Joining me right now is my first guest, Peter Esele, who is the president, who was the former president, I beg your pardon, Trade Union Congress, that's TUC. Mr. Esele, welcome to the program. If you can hear me, good morning.
Good morning, Nancy. Thank you for having me.
Now, let's kick off. Good morning and good to see you. From the NEC meeting that happened on Thursday, uh, we got the news from the Minister of Finance, Budget and National Planning, Zainab Ahmed. It seems that, the NEC has told the federal government to just delay a bit in this fuel subsidy removal until all stakeholders are involved to see how this can be further implemented. I want to have your own understanding about the minister's statement because some people may not have, some people's opinion of the minister's statement may just differ. What is your own understanding of the statement of the press briefing that she had?
I think my understanding of what the minister is talking about is that it's not as if subsidy removal is suspended, but I think it's the right thing to do because this is an outgoing government. The government is going by 29th of May. We are going to have a new administration. I think it's proper that that become the responsibility of the incoming administration. And of course, I'm also happy that the $800 million loan would have been put on hold now, which of course the incoming administration will be responsible for whatever they need to do. It has to be a plan. It has to be planned as it has to be an omnibus plan that carries everybody along.
Do you think that the politics side of this policy of the fuel subsidy removal seems to be taking sway anytime that the federal government, whatever administration that is in power, wants to take out the subsidy, but the political side seems to have a bigger chunk of consideration than the economic side. The economic side is that the nation is bleeding. We cannot afford trillions of naira in subsidies anymore. Those monies can be channeled to some other infrastructural needs of the country, but the political side always holds sway.
I don't think I agree. I think it is whether the political side have the political will or
Okay.
whether they even have the plan on what they want to do. Because first, if I had to take you back to 2015, this current administration had a political capital. Once you are elected, and it came with an overwhelming majority of Nigerians supporting this administration, and taking away subsidy would have been something that would have happened in the first maximum, the first year, before the end of the first year of this administration. And because they have no plan around it, so it became very difficult for them to do. They had 3 windows, and then they didn't do it. So what you have is that you have the economics of the economy, and then you also have the political economics of the economy. You have to find the balance because without handling the political side, whatever plan that you have economically cannot work. And also, without factoring economics into the political angle, you're also going to have a problem. So, what the incoming administration must do is to find the balance. Here is one of the things I will commend the incoming administration for. The president-elect is this is the first time we are having a president elected since 1999 that openly campaigned that I'm taking away the subsidy. So we wait for his inauguration, and then we wait for his plan in the removal of the subsidy, and then we will now be able to debate the way forward.
Do you think that the incoming administration has a crisis ahead of it in terms of how it would go with this plan, what the Marshall Plan will be, also just opposing it with the politics of it, the social political angle of it, let me put it that way. Many Nigerians are saying, don't take this off because this will bring untold hardship on us. Inflation will rise, quite a whole lot of things would happen, transportation costs will go up, food prices will go up and all of that. So do you think that this incoming administration has a crisis at hand?
Yes, the incoming administration have a crisis at hand, and it has to find the will to take it up. First, if I'm in their shoes, what I'll do first is to ensure that there is what I call effective communication. Secondly, the opaque system around the subsidy removal, opaque system around the subsidy, we must know. Third, we must know how many liters we consume actually on a daily basis. Fourth, our refineries, when are they coming on stream? Fifth, the private refinery that we are thinking about, when actually the private refinery, which is bigger than NNPC refinery, the initial thought was it's going to come on stream by the end of the year. From my calculation, it's not going to happen this year. It's likely going to be 2024, late 2024 or first quarter 2025. Then when you factor all of that, then you now have to go to the stakeholders and say, this is where we are. I don't think this government is going to be able to survive. 96% of its revenue is used for debt servicing. So you use 96% of your revenue for debt servicing. And then you are talking about IMF is encouraging that they liberalize the FX. Now, here is the challenge that this government will face. If you take away subsidy today, you are going to be paying between 320 naira and 400 naira. So if somebody is moving from 185 to 400 naira, that is going to be very catastrophic for the economy. So what if I'm also in their shoes is a phased withdrawal.
Okay, just hold on, Mr. Esele. I'll come back to you shortly. Just hold on. Hello and welcome to the program. Thank you all for joining us today.
What we're seeing today is a bridge that we will cross together, with the young people.
Let us do what we can to making sure that our ordinary households don't fall into hunger, they can't feed themselves.
If you continue to do the same thing and expect a different result, then there's something wrong with you.
But there's a field for everyone to play. And we see a potential contribution of all partners, including local oil companies, in the short term and also in the long term.
But what we're discovering now is financial resilience matters.
This is where we keep you up to speed with everything in finance, business, markets, economy. After all, here's Moneyline with me, Nancy. So welcome again, and let's do it again today. This is Moneyline with Nancy on African Independent Television. Welcome to our terrestrial viewers. In the last couple of minutes, we've been online as well as our international viewers. So I'm welcoming you, our terrestrial or local viewers. Just before I came on air to you, we have Peter Esele, who was a former president of the Trade Union Congress, and we're discussing about the fuel subsidy removal, the delay, because many Nigerians are expecting that, according to what the government said earlier on in the year, that fuel subsidy will be removed perhaps by June. Peter Esele is still with me online. Peter, good to have you again. Just before we went on a break, I did ask you about your understanding of the policy. I also did ask you about, do you think that the incoming administration has a crisis ahead of it? I just want you to respond very quickly in just about a minute, then I'll take you up on some other questions.
Yes, it has a crisis that, yes, the crisis at hand, but there's also an opportunity for it.
Okay, now, how do you think that the incoming administration should manage the crisis ahead of it in terms of the removal of subsidy? Because some analysts are saying that this administration may not have as much political capital, bearing in mind the furore around the election. So many Nigerians may see that, okay, this incoming administration may not have a lot of political capital to carry out this massive economic policy. How do you think that the incoming administration should go ahead with the fuel subsidy removal?
Yes, I think you have a point, because the outgoing administration has so much political capital to do it. It didn't do it. Now, if I'm in the shoes of the incoming, what I'm going to do is, first of all, let Nigerians know the road. You see, the Buhari administration did not campaign on subsidy removal. The Buhari administration said there was even no subsidy. And the Buhari administration said subsidy is a scam. But the incoming administration knows that there is subsidy. So what will you do is to identify the scam in the subsidy. So once you identify the scam in the subsidy, let Nigerians know the scam in the subsidy. Then you have to do a phased withdrawal. Economics will say just take it off at a go. I'm not going to support taking it off at a go, because if you do that, you are going to move somebody who is paying 185 or 195 to start paying between 320 and 400 naira. That is too massive a shock for the economy to absorb. So you identify how much you are spending, and you start doing a phased withdrawal, 30% per annum. before the end of the 4-year tenure, and this subsidy thing becomes a thing of the past. That's for me, it is. But the political capital of whoever of the incoming has to be that he must be transparent and he must be able to identify where these leakages are and apply appropriate sanction.
Now, if we take a look at this fuel subsidy removal, you will recall that President Jonathan had done this, I think, in 2012, and many Nigerians protested. I remember, is it Occupy Lagos or Occupy Nigeria? At that point, even some members of this administration were at that protest. Even President Buhari was part of those that said, oh, don't take this off. And President Buhari came in 2015 with enough political capital, having seen what's been happening, but he couldn't take it off. I also remember that the former Minister of Petroleum, Minister of State for Petroleum Resources, Minister Kachuku, as at that time, did say, okay, the first subsidy has been removed. In fact, the group CEO of the NNPC Limited told me on this program certain time, Nancy, there's no subsidy, it is zero, and they had what they call under recovery and all of that. But the brouhaha around the fuel subsidy, do you think that Nigerians sufficiently understand how this process is talking about the transparency of the numbers that are being bandied around?
You see, one of the things, government is the problem. Why I'm using the word government is the problem is, first of all, what is your policy? What is your energy policy? So it's your energy policy that you should be talking to. And then you take your energy policy to now educate and inform Nigerians. That's why I always refer to effective communication. And if I take you back, because I was also a player then, during the Jonathan's era, what actually played out was that the unions were not categorically against subsidy removal. The unions gave their condition, and the unions also went to the administration and said, let's educate Nigerians about it. There was a town hall meeting held in Lagos where the former CBN governor and later the Emir of Kano, the former Minister of Petroleum, but the unions also find out that there were only 3 people interested in that. So they removed the governor and Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala. Others will, the Jonathan administration have too many fifth columnists that undermine the process. So when you find out that the government itself is not serious about where it's going, then you now have issues of distrust. So that's why you see I'm talking about the incoming. The incoming has said he's going to remove subsidy. So we will now look at how is he going to do it. That is the key. So his government itself, they need to put their house in order before coming to the public. If you ask me, I don't even see any reason why the National Economic Council will come out and say, okay, we can no longer take away subsidy in June. First place, June, you are no longer in power. It's a new president, so allow the new man to make the call.
Now, does this removal of subsidy even make sense? We're removing subsidy, and I think Labour has also canvassed this, which I want to ask. Talking about you're removing subsidy, but you're still importing a product which you still produce. How much economic sense does it make, despite the turnaround maintenances that have gone in different administrations? Of course, Port Harcourt is being, I don't know the language to use now, because they will say rehabilitation, they will say no, it's turnaround maintenance and what have you. Can we really get value for the product which Nigeria is producing, get value for money, despite our refineries not coming on board? A lot of dependence is on Dangote Refinery, who is a private producer. And I think that Dangote Refinery, or even Dangote himself, is looking at profit and not even really Nigeria patriotism at heart, so to speak, because he's spending money, which NNPC Limited also have invested in Dangote Refinery. So I think that even both entities will be looking at how to make their money. So how much sense does it really make within all these arguments that we need to take off subsidy, yet you are still importing fuel?
Nancy, it makes zero economic sense. And it's embarrassing that we are discussing this, because every time, I think we are the only country in the world that goes ahead. What we produce is what we import. It's embarrassing that we are discussing this again and again and again, that our refineries are not working. And then why are we complaining about subsidy removal to this extent? It's because you and I know that when you import petroleum products, the crude oil is sold in dollars. So as long as you import in dollars and you sell in naira, with the various devaluation in naira, then you are going to have a higher price to pay. And irrespective irrespective of whether all our refineries are working, we are still going to be paying a very high price for petrol. The reason why we are paying that is because of the devaluation between the naira and the dollar. Now, what would have been our option here? Our option would have been meeting our local refinery capacity, that's local refinery demand. And also now for export, it's our right to take over the West African countries and be able to provide energy needs for them. But we can't do that because of the relation of duty and the lack of. I'm looking for a better word so that I don't sound too insulting. And the lack of attention to what should be done. Nobody cares. Because I don't see any reason why a government will be in power for almost 8 years and your refineries are not working. And then we had the Jonathan administration, 8 years too, refineries were not working. You had the Obasanjo administration, 8 years. Our refinery at that time was even at 20% capacity. How do you explain that? How do you explain that? It's laughable that we will still be talking, we will still be talking about subsidy.
Okay. Just as we end this round, because I have another guest to take on, you were the former president of Pengasand. I would want, I think from 2006 to 2008, if I'm not mistaken, I would want you to explain to me how refineries work. Because my own understanding, except my own understanding is different from your own understanding. My own science understanding is the same way refineries work everywhere else in the world. Why is our own refineries not working? Why are our own refineries not working? You have the process of distillation and all of that. I don't want to go into the science jargons. But why are Nigerian refineries not working? Yet the refinery staffs are still earning their salaries. Billions of dollars are going in for turnaround maintenances. What exactly is the issue? At least give me from your own experience when you were the Pengasand president.
The issue with the refineries, the workers are there. The workers are ready to do their job. The workers are not allowed to do their job. In the past, the issue of turnaround maintenance, nobody. Let me finish. In the past, the issue of turnaround maintenance is not something that Nancy alone will be discussing. These are things for the engineers of NMPC to take care of. Yes, nobody knows. Okay, you work in AIT. Is anybody aware when you're having engineering issues in AIT? You don't know. You come out and then you talk to us about the economy. There are engineers behind the scene. That is their responsibility. It is from the military government. I think it was from Babangida or Abacha, that they now made turnaround maintenance a matter of Federal Executive Council or Supreme Military Council. So when it became that, it now became politics. So if Nancy Ilo is my friend, I will not give it a title, turnaround maintenance. I will not say Nancy Ilo and daughters or her sons, please go ahead. Even though you don't have the capacity for that, go ahead and do the turnaround maintenance. So $300 million goes to you, and then you now go ahead and look for who will now go and do the turnaround maintenance. Meanwhile, from the inception of that refineries, the NMPC workers are being the one carrying out the various turnaround maintenance. Turnaround maintenance became a lexicon in the Federal Executive Council when it comes to awarding contracts and making money for the boys.
So it's more of politics. More issues to discuss. More issues to discuss in the days ahead. Thank you for joining us today. I'll continue to look at this, of course. I think next week, May Day is Monday. So we will definitely look at it next week. But thank you very much, Peter Esele, for joining us. Former President Pengasand, former President Trade Union Congress. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
All right.